Is Texas back? No. But they're getting there. There's surprisingly a lot of excitement in Austin despite Texas going a disappointing 5-7 in 2021. But the crazy thing is that the Longhorns could actually make the Big 12 championship game in 2022. The Longhorns return tons of talent, and the Big 12 is wide open this year. So Steve Sarkisian, can you deliver? So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys, ready to predict Texas's record and schedule for this upcoming college football season. A very, very big season for Steve Sarkisian. His first year in Austin was terrible. 5-7, no bowl game, right? 5 one-possession losses. 3 of those where the Longhorns held a double-digit lead. So a 5-7 season easily could have been a 10-win season. They just weren't able to finish the games. Can they do that this year? When you take a look at the numbers, guys, brought to you by College Football Encyclopedia, Texas returned 66% of their production from last year. That's 61st in the country. They were 47th offensively, which isn't terrible, but they were 100th defensively, and that is where the Longhorns have to improve. That is where Texas and Pete Kwiatkowski, their defensive coordinator, that's where they have to get better. But you take a look at the offense first. A lot of excitement around that side of the ball because Texas might arguably have one of the top trios in the country. You've got the freshman quarterback Quinn Ewers coming in. Highly touted quarterback, 5-star. Texas landed him, and they are pumped. They are pumped to see him in action. You've got him. You've got one of the top running backs in the country in Bijan Robinson. And then you've got Xavier Worthy, one of the top wide receivers, not just in the Big 12, maybe even in the country. The offensive line is the main area of concern on that side of the ball. They've got to improve drastically and give the new quarterback time to deliver. The defense, guys, returns 8 starters, so they should be drastically better than last year. Again, 100th in the country last year, only managed to get 20 sacks in 2021. So they've got to improve their pass rush, and they certainly have to really just improve the entire front 7 to anything else. But they've got to improve their play in the trenches, both on the offensive line and in the defensive line. You take a look at their schedule, guys, it's manageable for Texas to contend for a Big 12 championship this year. Again, the conference is so wide open, no one knows what to expect. It's almost impossible to predict, but we're going to do it anyways, right? We do think they open up the year with a win over ULM. Shouldn't be an issue there. Great opportunity for their new quarterback to get his feet wet in real game action, work out any issues they may have on both sides of the ball before they prepare for what might be the #1 team in the country in Alabama. Texas and Alabama, one of the most marquee matchups of the entire season. 2 big-name programs, a rematch of that 2009 national championship game that was played out in Pasadena. Alabama, of course, won that game, but this is going to be a fun one. A very, very fun one, guys. And it's in Austin, so they do have that going for them. But to me, that's the only thing that Texas has going for them. Alabama is loaded offensively. They return the Heisman Trophy winner in Bryce Young. They return their star on defense in Will Anderson. And I believe the Alabama defense, a defense that should be a lot better than it was last year, they're going to exploit this Texas offensive line in a big way. I think the Longhorns are going to be under pressure constantly in this game. Bama is just too good on both sides of the ball. Again, another cool storyline, Steve Sarkisian versus Nick Saban, stuff like that. Obviously, that's always fun, but I just don't see any way that Texas is going to beat Alabama in Austin. So 1-1 for Texas here, guys. Hopefully, the biggest thing for Texas here is just don't get embarrassed. Don't get embarrassed by the Crimson Tide. And I think it's going to be about a 10 to 14 point game in Austin. We do think they beat Texas San Antonio, UTSA, so they're 2-1, and then they enter Big 12 conference play. They go on the road to Texas Tech. And this is a Red Raiders team that you really don't know what to expect from. Are they going to go bowling? Are they going to fall short? Are they going to win 8 games? No one knows, right? Joey McGuire comes in and inherits a decent situation. Everybody's praising his offense and how great they're going to be, which is awesome. But, if you don't have a defense, it's not going to mean anything. And Texas Tech did not have a defense last year. The Longhorns put 70 points on the Red Raiders last year, beating them 70-35. And again, these are 2 defenses that I think will struggle a little bit, guys, but I don't see a 35-point swing coming for the Red Raiders. I believe the Longhorns have gotten a little bit better. The Red Raiders may have too, so it might be a little closer, but not 35 points closer. Give me the win for the Longhorns here, guys. A lot of people like that as a trendy upset pick, but right now, I'm just not seeing it. We do think they come back home and beat West Virginia. Texas lost to West Virginia 31-23 last year, lost by 8 points. And I do think this game is close again, probably decided by no more than 10. I think JT Daniels is going to give this West Virginia offense a major boost. Finally gives them a competent quarterback back there. But Other than that, I don't think West Virginia to me is just mediocre at best, probably a 6-7 win team, if that, in 2022. So with the game being in Austin, again, both teams improving a little bit, but not drastically enough. Texas will beat West Virginia at home. And guys, at this point, they're 4-1 heading into their game against Oklahoma, and the only loss is to Alabama. And that's okay. That's understandable. So they take on Oklahoma, the Red River Showdown, a game where Texas led 28-7 last year and managed to lose 55-48. 55-48 after leading 28-7. Texas has lost 4 straight to Oklahoma. 8 of the last 9 games between the Sooners and the Longhorns have been decided by 1 possession. Oklahoma has won 6 of them. So we talk about those close one-possession losses, not just last year, but in the past. Texas has to know how to finish. They've got to know how to close out the close games. I think they're going to figure it out on October 8th. I think Texas gets their revenge over Oklahoma. Redemption and revenge are key mottos going into this game, guys. Oklahoma obviously dealing with a new coach in Brent Venables, still loaded with talent, but they struggled in the secondary last year. Struggled. 109th versus the pass. I think Quinn Ewers and this passing attack are able to exploit that. I think Texas, remembering what happened last year, knowing they should have beat the Sooners, it's been circled on their calendar for a long, long time. Now, I think they're going to get that win over Oklahoma. It's going to be close. It's going to be a one-possession game, but Texas snaps their 4-game losing streak to the Sooners and wins this game. And guys, they are 5-1 going into the next week, where we think they become 6-1 with a win over Iowa State. You know, we talk about big-time point swings. Do I really think there's going to be a 23-point swing here after Texas lost 30-7 to Iowa State? Yes, because Iowa State lost so much. They are low when it comes to returning production from last year. They lose their quarterback in Brock Purdy. They lose Breece Hall. They lose big-time playmakers on defense. Now the game is in Austin. Texas riding a high with that win over Oklahoma. I think they beat the Cyclones, and I think they beat them rather handily as well. They then go on the road to Oklahoma State, guys. So at this point, Texas is a top 10 team. People are talking about them as being back officially. They're saying they're a playoff contender. All that stuff. Only 1 loss, but then some of that starts to crumble here when they lose to Oklahoma State. They lost to the Cowboys last year 32-24 at home. Now the game's in Stillwater. Oklahoma State arguably has the most experienced quarterback in the conference in Spencer Sanders. The defense should still be relatively solid despite losing so much. And again, home field advantage will play a key role in this game. I don't expect the Cowboys to be as good as they were last year when they won 12 games. But they still have enough talent to win at home. A Texas team that's still riding some of these highs. They're bound for a loss somewhere. Where is it going to be? It's going to be against a good Mike Gundy Oklahoma State team. So Texas drops their second game of the year right before they go into their bye week. Then they go on the road to take on Kansas State, a team they only beat 22-17 last year in the season finale. So it meant more for Kansas State than it did for Texas last year, yet the Longhorns still got the win. Kansas State and Texas, though, a lot of close games between each other. A lot of close games. Texas has actually won the last 5, but 4 of them have been decided by 6 points or less. So the Wildcats are close. They're close to getting over that hump and finally beating Texas. And I think they're going to get it on November 5th. I think Kansas State does beat Texas on November 5th. And I know Texas fans are going to be like, that's ridiculous. No way we lose to Kansas State. Kansas State's sneaky good, guys. If you're looking for a dark horse candidate to make the Big 12 championship game, it's Kansas State. Adrian Martinez, the dual-threat quarterback, comes in from Nebraska. Deuce Vaughn is one of the best running backs within the conference. Kansas State gets this game in Manhattan. I think they're going to be able to pull this one off because the defense also extremely underrated under Chris Kleiman. They're going to have enough to shut down this Texas offense just enough. And I do think this rushing attack for Kansas State exploits a Texas defense that still at this point has improved, but not improved to the point it needs to be. Texas drops that game to Kansas State. They beat TCU. Shouldn't be an issue there. Last year, Bijan Robinson torched the Horned Frogs for 216 yards and 2 touchdowns. Texas gets this game at home now. TCU dealing with a new coach, horrible defense. Got to give them the win over the Horned Frogs. We are going to give them the win over Kansas, believe it or not. Texas lost 57-56 in overtime to Kansas last year. And, you know, that was kind of been the talk of the offseason, right? Texas is not bad. They lost to Kansas. All the memes, everything you've seen about that loss. If you don't think that's been ingrained in Texas's mind, if you don't think Steve Sarkisian has made a point of that game, if you don't think they're hanging all that up, bulletin board material all over the locker room because that loss to Kansas, if you don't think they're doing that, you're wrong. Texas wants revenge over Kansas, maybe even more than they want revenge over Oklahoma. They want redemption over Kansas, maybe more than they do over Oklahoma. They're going to annihilate Kansas, a Kansas team that's getting there under Lance Leipold but not enough to beat Texas 2 years in a row. They beat Kansas just like that. They've got their 8th win of the year. They come back home senior night against Baylor. They lost to Baylor 31-24 in Waco last year, and now I think they're going to lose a similar game in Austin. A lot of people say there's no way they're going to lose to Baylor in Austin. I think they do, because how do you win games, guys? You control the line of scrimmage. And Baylor owns the edge on the offensive line in a big way. They own the edge on the defensive line in a big way. And they will exploit that Texas offensive line just enough to create pressure on still the young quarterback in Quinn Ewers, who's going to have a solid season, but not enough to take down this very stingy Baylor defense. Baylor, by this point in the year, has fixed any offensive struggles they may have. They're still playing for a spot in the Big 12 championship game. This could actually determine who maybe gets in, because Texas only has 2 conference losses. The Longhorns do fall at home to a very, very good Baylor team, the reigning Big 12 champions. And with that, guys, Texas will finish the year at 8-4. 8-4. Is that what Texas fans want? No, they want 9, 10, 11 wins. They want to be playoff contenders, Big 12 title contenders. But 8-4, only 3 conference losses, so 6-3 in conference play, a shot at 9 wins. And if you're a Texas fan, well, that might not be where you want to be. You've got to be thrilled with what you got, because you went 5-7 last year. Didn't even go bowling. Texas will go to a solid bowl game this year. They have a chance to win 9 games so they can capitalize on that bowl win, and then will be even better in 2023. And that is the year where we can maybe start to say Texas is getting back. That could be the year where Texas finally breaks through and wins the Big 12 and starts to become the legitimate, consistent threat on the national stage that in years past we've been so used to seeing. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. We want you to become a part of our GE Nation. We want you to sign up for our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Make sure to go take a look at that and sign up today. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.